New Mexico's first ever redistricting committee is now set, but the questions about representation and influence when redrawing political boundaries are far from over. The 7-member body is appointed by the legislative leadership as well as the State Ethics Commission. Heading up the committee is retired Supreme Court Justice Edward Chavez, who also served on last year's redistricting task force, you might recall. The rest of the group is mostly male, former state lawmakers, or political insiders, and almost entirely from Albuquerque to boot. Now, Laura, is this what folks had in mind when they pushed for this new redistricting reform?
I don't think that that's probably what the vast majority of legislators thought would happen. I mean, we have a very, very strong rural constituency, obviously, in New Mexico for good reason. And I don't think that people expected that this would be solely coming out of Albuquerque. But of course, to a certain extent, it's a self-selection issue, right? People could have submitted their information and asked to be on this. So maybe it should have been advertised more widely or in other kind of, I don't know how they advertised it to begin with, but, that's a real issue. And I don't think it's very diverse, and I don't think it's good to not have more women on there. I mean, we need to have parity on that front.
Senator, should we be surprised? Politicos picking other politicos to be on this committee? I mean, it's giving a little bit of heartburn for some folks out there.
Well, truthfully, it makes me think they weren't listening in committee during the session when the advocates were testifying for this. I have to tell you, I am totally surprised in the legislative appointments, at least the vast majority, because the whole purpose of it was to get it, having a committee was to get it out of political hands. And it is not that you don't want maybe one or two for some institutional knowledge, but to put in that many of the committee. And then secondly, no Native Americans on it.
Right.
I mean, really?
I know.
What were you thinking about? And then thirdly, the ladies have mentioned one woman. I mean, come on, folks. We're trying to represent New Mexico and get some fair and equitable redistricting. And I feel like I can speak just a little bit. In 2001, I was in first year in the Senate. I was part of the redistricting committee. Of course, we had 9/11, so it kind of changed the whole scope of things. And then the second time around in 2012, it was my district that was part of the big legal case because it was they literally went around like this, down across here and down here, and put my precinct, just my precinct, into Senator Jerry Ortiz-Pino's district, and certainly nothing in common. I mean, anyway, it went to court, and that was one of the things that the judge's final questions was: one, is everybody in agreement on this compromise? And two, is Senator Snyder back in her district? Because it was such a blatant gerrymandering, and that was being done by legislators. And I'm sorry, I know and I understand the feeling of self-protection, but when you are elected and you've gone to all that effort and energy to get elected, but you're representing the people of New Mexico. And we haven't been, in my mind, we haven't been clearly doing that for many years. So to put in a political persuasion, an overwhelming political persuasion, different opinions, but persuasion on this committee is just absolutely ridiculous, and certainly doesn't meet what my expectation was of having an independent commission.
Fair enough. Sophie, interesting point here in one of the news articles that the idea that maybe these folks may not have known who the others were choosing. Do you get what I mean here?
Prisoner's dilemma there, yeah.
Exactly.
Prisoner's dilemma, I love it.
Can we then back up and redo this? I mean, as Senator just pointed out and Laura before her, I just don't know how credible these, and I'm being very careful with that word, but when push comes to shove, folks are going to have a bit of a heartburn with this. Should we back up and start over?
Well, I don't know that you can.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the start. Here's the thing, though. The way that this commission was built, they made the cultural diversity, the geographical diversity aspirational.
That's
They
right.
didn't make them a requirement.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And
Right.
so, why wouldn't they say, rural representation mandated, and whatever that would look like, however they would do that.
Mhm.
They chose not to. But I think that, Jean, that's a really important point. If you're not sure, if you're a Democrat or Republican, you get to a point you're not sure what the other party's going to do, you're probably going to lay out your strongest, most impactful people for the committee. I think it's worth noting that the two individuals who are not appointed by the parties seem like really strong. They're going to be strong participants. They seem like good choices.
Mhm.
I do believe that Justice Chavez, who I've worked with in the past, I do believe that he will work hard to ensure that there's that this committee does the work it's supposed to do and does it with as close to an even hand as possible, given the members of the committee. But let's face it, that's not what the legislature, what the government built
Yeah.
when they built this. So do they need to come back and reassess? Maybe, but it won't affect this round.
Laura, let me ask you this then. In the past, as Senator mentioned just a minute ago, other redistricting fights, they ended up in court. Are we just going to end up in court anyway here about these boundaries?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
probably. I mean, here's the problem, and I think Sophie makes a very good point.
Mhm.
When these rural representation, the diversity in terms of Native American presence, more women, these things should have been required. They should have been
Right.
built into the concept of the committee itself,
Mhm.
and not just aspirational, as Sophie said, because you end up with people who are self-serving. These are, if you look at the 4 people who were appointed by sitting legislators, every one of them represents their interests, right?
That's
Not just
right.
them, but their party's interests.
That's right.
And I happen to know all 4 of those people, fairly well. Senator Michael Sanchez, Senator Lisa Curtis, both of them former senators, but of course you have to use their title, as I do with Senator Snyder. And then, of course, Ryan Kanglia, I can never say his name.
We're super
Thank
tight.
you,
We're
Leslie.
super tight on time, guys. I realize your point. Here's what we're
Sorry.
going to do. On our website, we're going to have a list of those folks that Laura was just starting to mention, because the committee itself, the makeup, is something to consider. And that redistricting committee will be holding numerous public hearings on the process over the summer and fall. So be sure to follow us on Facebook for updates and coverage of those hearings. This is an issue we plan to continue following closely right here on this show as part of our Your New Mexico Government Project.